So, yes, so we'll start our webinars, today's webinar. So, our today's topic is from boring to brilliant. That is this how we are going to make this social studies most loved subject in a school. So, we'll be discussing the 20 ways to make that possible. So, before starting, my name is Muhammad Imran, and I'm an academician working in Next Education. So today we are just going to discuss about these 20 ways. So before going into that, I just want to ask, I have a question for you. So what do you think? When did you last hear students say, I can't wait for my social studies class? A very good evening, teachers. Okay, so I was asking this question. So when did you last hear a student say that I can't wait for my social studies class? So is this a thing? Can you recall that whether the students think in this way or not? So the reality check which I want to give over here is you must have feel that the teachers who are teaching students from past 10 years, those who have experience of 10 years, is they have seen that they teach the same topic over and over again for years, and they can see the students losing their interest. I think you all have noticed that they start yawning in the classroom, and even students skip their classes just for some extracurricular activities and for some school events, right? So that is the reason means we need to check that why this is happening. This is the reality of our classes. So today we are just going to discuss that what are the basics, 20 battle tested classroom ready strategies that will make a classroom, or we can say that will make students connects the theme of the subject, that whatever we are learning, it's connected to the things which they are seeing in their surroundings. Okay, so who is going to show that things? So we as a teacher are only going to show that things, that yes, this is the thing, and will be just developing the interest of the students so that they can discuss about all these social studies topic at the lunch table as well. So before going into that, I just want to ask one question from you all. So you can see this question over here. So in your experience, which social studies topic do students find most boring? So you can type your answers in chat box. So I'll be just taking few answers over there, and you can also write it down that why students find that particular things boring. So I'll be just giving you 2 minutes for that. So I have given certain question over here, certain options. You can see ancient civilization and their rulers, geographical features and maps, constitutional chapters and governance, economic concept and trade. So these are the four options. So what do you think? Which one topic students find most boring? Okay, I can see a lot of questions. Ancient civilization, okay, technical topics in geography. Okay, great. Constitutional chapter as well. Right, right. When students cannot connect. Correct. Exactly. And ancient civilization. So I can see a lot of people just answering this ancient civilization and all. And they're saying that these are the things means we are not able to connect with the real life things. I agree with your point. So today we'll be just talking about the things about the basics, that how we are going to just make all these things, whatever things we have discussed, more interesting and connect to the real life situations. So if we talk about the today's sessions, the major key takeaways for today's sessions will be, uh, uh, you can see over here. So firstly, we'll be just talking about hands-on activities. So at the end of the sessions, we'll be just able to design whatever the activities are there. We'll be able to design the meaningful activities without burning our budget plus our preparation time. So in a very minimal time, we are going to make those particular activities. Secondly, we are going to talk about this real world connection as well. Means a lot of books are there. So how means different things are there, different topics are there. So how we are going to make that topic relevant? We are going to make that topic into a live relevant learning experience. That is a question. So we are going to learn that thing as well. The third thing is critical thinking too. So we are just going to learn about some tools, some techniques, that how we are going to just help our students to develop their problem solving, their decision making skills systematically. And the next thing we'll be talking about the participation and agency. So we'll be just talking about few techniques that will be just increasing the collaboration within our students, and they'll be helping our students to means they'll be developing the skills of taking the ownership of that particular learning process. And the last but not the least, we'll be also talking that how local global connect we are going to do. Is whatever we are learning, whatever concept we are learning, we are going to connect with the daily life and the communities. So these are the major key takeaways we'll be talking about in today's sessions. So it will be not theory or not philosophy. We'll be directly discussing about the practical classroom ready tools. So before going into that, I just want to share means we have all heard about this NEP 2020 guidelines and NCF 2020 guidelines. Means a lot of things have been given for social studies teachers. Means if I talk about the simple things, means we have said that this, they have given a guidelines in 2020 NEP guidelines that we need to focus on competency based learning. Okay, a lot of things, for example, uh, holistic progress card also is given, so that assessment should be focused on competencies, and punch course is also given. So means we need to just engage our child, means connect our child before introducing anything, whatever the things are we going to introduce. So these are the major basic guidelines which was given by NEP and NCF. I think you have already also have the idea that the thing why I want to discuss about this, the bottom line is whatever we are going to discuss today, that will be totally aligned with the 2023 NCF guidelines and whatever techniques we are going to. So the thing is, we don't need to teach well or something like that. We just need to change our approach, whatever the things are given as per the NEP and NCF guidelines. So if we talk about this guidelines, whatever the NEP and NCF guidelines have given, so if we talk about the connection between the brain and the social science, there are three major things which I think we all know intuitively, but we don't know the perfect name for that. So today I'll be sharing that. So means when we just connect the topic, student remember stories much more better than the facts. So 22 times more memorable means whenever we teach, whenever we connect any topic with stories, they remember 22x more time. Secondly, if we talk about the learning, so 70% of the learning is lost in 24 hours, unless and until if we connect that particular topic with some emotions or some actions. And the third one you can see over here is if we are not able to connect, if we are not able to hook our students in first 3 seconds, we are not able to develop the interest in first 3 seconds. So their mind will be diverted. So that first 3 seconds are very important. just to develop or just to develop the curiosity and interest of our child. Overall, if we talk about the classroom implication, so today we'll be just talking about that social studies is not just a thing which we learn in a book. So we'll be just connecting the things, whatever the topics given in the books, with real neighborhood, real current headlines, personal dilemmas, and a lot of things, whatever the things they see in their life. So we'll be just moving to the deeper learning. So moving forward, majorly today we'll be just talking about those 5 sections, the 20 techniques. So we have divided that into 5 sections. Firstly, the section 1, reframing how you open a topic. That is the headline. So I would say there are 4 techniques which we'll be sharing in this. Firstly, you can see over here the newspaper headline hook, what it does, what it means. So you can see over here, whenever we start any topic, whenever we start means any new chapter, we can start with the current news headlines that can directly mirror some historical events or some geographical concept. I'll give one example as well, that how we are going to just connect everything with newspaper headline hook. So, for example, print one headline and ask that, how do you think this is happening here? Then you can connect that thing with the textbook. So, real life thing, the things which are happening currently, we can directly connect that things with our textbook. So they feel that yes, the things which are happening in our surroundings, that is the thing only we are going to learn in a book. For example, if we are teaching about federalism, okay, what we can do, we can use a headline about center versus state conflict on a policy, and you can see that the chapter means whenever when we introduce this headline or the headline of the newspapers, that chapter will become that whatever the things we are learning, it's about today's uh, time. Second thing you can see over here, the wrong answer first strategy. So I have already shared in starting. We all must be doing a lot of techniques. We all must be using a different techniques in the classroom. But today we are going to just name all those things, and we are going to use deliberately all these strategies into our classroom to make the overall that SST, the social studies, feeling that it's a boring and it's complicated subjects. We are just going to change the overall thinking about that. The second thing is the wrong answer first strategy. Okay, uh, you can see over here that what we are going to do. So deliberately, we are going to present a wrong or some controversial statement just to challenge our students, just to let them know, just to see whether they are listening to us or not. So they'll be listening to us, they'll be just thinking that the teacher, whoever is teaching, is saying it wrong. So how we are going to use that? For example, state that the British came to India to help us, and take a small pause and just see that, watch the student means they'll just raise their hand that ma'am, so these things I'm not getting it. So you'll just see a lot of different opinions over there. This will help us to just trigger their cognitive dissonance. So this is the most powerful learning state. You have been already doing this. I've already told you, you're already doing this. Now you have to do this, you have to implement this intentionally every time into your classroom. The next thing which I'll be sharing is connect to the street. What we are going to connect. So link every geography, civics concept, to something within 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers range of a school. So students have the idea that what is in their surrounding, how we are going to do that. I'll be sharing that as well. For example, you can ask student that what is the nearest gram panchayat, where is the nearest police office, police station, where is the nearest ward office, who is the coordinator of your present mohalla. Then you can introduce that particular concept. So I think you can just imagine if we just start with this topic and we ask them that who is the coordinator, and then we introduce that how this structure of this government forms into our Indian constitutions. So they'll be connecting that things to their real life situation. So local government chapters, for example, you can walk them through mohalla civic structures first. So this is how you can see we are going to connect a thing with the street as well. This was the third strategy which I was saying. Then the next strategy is the 3-question challenge. So three question challenge. You can see that before teaching a topic, give a student 3 questions that they cannot answer. So you need to write that 3 questions. For example, you are just teaching them about the democracy. So the 3 questions can be like, what is democracy? How it works? What are the pillars? So these type of 3 questions you can write. And we know that they are not able to answer it. They are learning it for the first time. But at the end of the class, they are going to answer it. So at the end, you can just ask your students and you can see that they'll be just answering that. It's the most effective way. It's the most, we can say, intrinsic motivation. They'll be more interested just to listen all these topics, because they'll see that these are the 3 questions. I'm not able to answer it. So I need to focus on, I need to listen to teacher, I need to listen to mom, that what she's saying, so that at the end of the chapter I can answer that. So the overall curiosity will be developed throughout the lesson. So this was the fourth technique. Next, I'll be just moving to the section 2. So where we'll be just talking about mainly about that drama, the role play, and the simulations. So the first 4 strategies you can see, these were the opening strategies. So here we discuss about the 3-question challenge, connect to the street, how we are going to connect the topic, then the wrong answer for strategy, and the first one was the newspaper headline things. So this is how we are just going to just open the topic. The second is drama, role play, and the simulation. How we are going to introduce that, how we are going to incorporate that within our classroom to make the overall learning experience better. Students means they don't feel that these subjects are boring. How we can develop the interest of the students. The second section will be talking about the drama, the role play, and the simulations. So the first thing will be historical press references. What we can do, we can simply just make one student plays a historical figure like Gandhi, Nehru, Tipu Sultan. So one students will be acting that particular historical figure. Others can be just acting as a journalist. So they must ask, they'll be asking different questions that can be related to the textbook. Then figure must answer whatever the figures, whatever the, for example, Gandhiji, Nehru, Tipu Sultan. So whoever they are, so they will be answering on the basis of their character, using their whatever the reasoning is. Then at the end, the class will be evaluated by the teacher, that what was missing. So whatever we have learned from that textbook account, so what was missing in the overall historical press conferences. So this is how we can just introduce this role play thing. So it will definitely means it will definitely kill the rote memorization, and you can see means it forces our students to do the deep learning and just see that what can be what are the things given in the text, and how they can get the answer just by just by reading the concepts, reading the text. So this will encourage them to do the reading. That is the first thing we can just talk about this in this drama role play and simulation. The next thing which we'll be talking about the for example the issue and simulation things, sort of things. For example, uh, we are talking about some climate, some refugees, some trades. We what we are going to do, we are going to just assign a group, and we can ask them to just act for some certain countries. We can assign certain countries to that particular group. Now they can have a discussions. They can just present whatever the things they have in their mind, whatever the things they have research related to particular topic. So each groups will be doing the research, and they will be presenting their nation's positions. So it will be just helping them to act like how this United Nations things works. So they'll be doing certain research, and they'll be presenting in front of the other groups. Then in the end, they'll be just negotiating, and they'll be just drafting a resolution. At the end, the debrief can be done that why couldn't we agree on those on certain points. That can also be discussed. So you can see means it's related to some certain research. It's related to the presentation. So most of the time, for the higher grade, for example, grade 7 to, or you can say 8 plus grades, we can simply use this, and whatever the things they are going to present in the form of this simulation, this thing will be in their mind for a very long. The next thing which we are going to discuss will be court case. That is history on trial. So suppose we are talking, we have just learned about this partition, the deforestation thing. So what we can do, we can just have some trial going on, one court case. So the prosecution can argues that harm the cause, the defense argues the context, that how the things how it's helpful, and the prosecution can simply that ask or simply argues that no, this is not helping the generations. So they'll just have a discussion, they'll act like a lawyers. Then students, or some of the students, will act as a jury. So they'll work it means at the final answers, the final verdict will be given by that particular jury only. So they'll think, they'll have certain reasoning on that. And as a judge, the teacher means the teacher will be acting as a judge, and he or she can add whatever the things are being missed from both the sides. So you can see means how we, with the help of just simple trial court session, will be just building empathy and critical thinking on the spot, critical thinking at the same times into our students. Then now I think we have discussed about the 8 overall techniques. Now I have one question from you all. So we know means we have already we must have already taught to 1 2 3 chapters in our classrooms. So now I just want you to please pause for a minute and just reflect on these things. So you need to think of one topic from your current syllabus, whatever the syllabus you are teaching. So which of the 4 role play formats could you use for it this month? Is you can think of any topic, and just give your answer in the chat box, that these things I can use as a role play in my classroom. That is the first thing. And if you feel that any topic you can connect with the real world event which are happening in our today's time, that is you can connect with the last 3 months events as well. And the last one is who in your school community could be your guest voice for that particular topic. So please just think for these three questions, and I'll be just taking certain answers in the chat box. Election chapter, great. Thank you so much. Okay, any other things? Demand and supply, great. I can see a lot of answers. Power sharing within the government, great. Okay, so I think if means after seeing the answers from you guys, I can see means if we think about the topic, uh, that a lot of topic we are already using it, we have already taught it. If we give certain time to that particular topic, we can just see that we can introduce certain I can say role plays or certain stories like type of things into our teaching on the spot. Thank you so much for answering it. So now we'll be moving to the section 3. So here we'll be mostly talking about this, whatever the things we are going to learn, we'll be just connecting with the community. So community as a classroom. So here we'll be just talking about 4 strategies that how we can implement this. The first or the ninth overall, the ninth one is the 500-meter map project. Suppose the student map everything within 500 meters of a school. For example, the water source is there, the waste point is there, the market is there, the police station is there, certain government offices are there. So they will be just seeing the 500, means they'll be just seeing across their, means or near their area across 500 meters. So what we are going to do, we are going to introduce group work. Here, no resource except the paper and observation is required. Simply, they'll be just observing the things. They'll be just writing the things that whatever they have observed in their 500 meters surroundings. Okay. Then they'll be marking their findings and then classifying it on the basis of their classifying it and analyzing the things that what are the things missing. So you can see with the help of this 500-meter map project, we can simply introduce this boring geography map into our interesting things which are there, which are available in their surroundings. So that boring geography maps becomes their neighborhood. Whatever the things they see in their neighborhoods, they'll be writing it down, how the map things work. They can simply, you can, means as a teacher, we can simply connect that things as well. Then the next thing is the interview RTQ. So what we can do, we can just students can interview, we can assign certain students, and that particular students can interview their grandparents, their neighbors, or some elders. So they can ask certain questions related to the events, related to the historical events or the policy change which happened in at their time in the past. So they'll be asking few questions. How we can just do that? We as a teacher can simply just give some 5 base questions to them, and if you just use this basic 5 questions, that will be enough. But just to make it more interesting, more challenging, what we can do, we can ask students to add 3 questions of their own as well. So total 8 questions they'll be asking, they'll be just interviewing it with their grandparents or some elderly neighbors. So you can see over here that here we have this no text is involved over here, but the question, whatever the things we have given, that will be building the connections with the textbook and the community. So they'll feel the connection, they'll just see the relevance of that particular topic, that yes, the people, the elders are seeing us, are means seeing the things, whatever the things are changing. Now, the next one, we'll moving to that, the local issue audit. As the name suggests, the local issue audit. So, as we know, that if we talk about our surroundings, about our neighborhood, a lot of things, a lot of issues must be going on. So, just to develop their civic sense, just to make the things connected to our topic, what we can do, we can just ask our students to identify one ongoing local issue. That can be, for example, road condition, that can be, for example, water access or the bad air quality. So students will be researching it, and they'll be just thinking by just wearing the lens of civics and geography. So they'll be doing the audit, they'll be thinking it, that how the conditions of the roads are, how the water access, water is there or not, water condition is there, how the air quality is in their area. So they'll be present, they'll present the findings, whatever the things are there, like a government community, or we can say committee. They'll be just sharing all those things like a government committee. So you can see over here, they'll just get a connection that if we have this, if we learn about the social studies, so we can see the things, and if we see the things, then only we can make the changes. Okay, so students see the social studies equals to the power to change the things around them. So this is how we are going to just introduce their civic action as well. The next thing we are going to discuss is the invisible history walk. It's the 12th thing. The 12th trip we are going to discuss. Take students around school or their neighborhood and stop at 5 points. What we're going to do, we're just going to ask what would have happened here if we talk about the past 50 or 100 years ago. So on the spot, you can see they'll be just thinking, they'll be just researching, they'll be thinking that maybe here this thing will be there, maybe the would be here, maybe this building was not there here, the road was only there. So they'll be thinking in that particular approach. But as for the teachers, it should be what should be done, they should do certain pre-research about that specific local place, about the history of that particular place, that how the buildings were there, the wells were there, overall old roads, how that were there. So at each point, students will be just thinking that yes, I think the well will be there, I think the road would be there. So after just thinking about their hypothesis, you as a teacher need to reveal, no, this was this, no, over here it was not a building, here it was the ancient or at the very old, uh, I can say well was there. So this, they will see that history is not something we are learning about this certain things that which are not they are connected to, they are learning the things which is under their feet. So they'll get clarity that history is the thing which is important, which is in their surroundings. So their overall interest, their curiosity will be developed. The next approach that is, we'll be moving to the section 4, and the section 4 mainly talk about just adding, just building their critical thinking. So these are the four major techniques which we can introduce, which we can use into a classroom. The first one is devil's advocate protocol. I think this word must be sounding interesting to you all. So you can see over here, it means, for example, if we have completed any topics. So what we can do, we can allot 5 minutes after completing the topic. One student will be acting as a devil's advocate. Devil's advocate means that particular person will be arguing opposite of what was concluded in that topic. Okay, so you can see that means they'll get the clarity that even if everyone agrees to whatever we have done after the conclusion, there must be one or two person will be there who will be challenging that thing. So we need to assign that, but we need to keep in mind, we need to rotate the role after we never need to use the same student twice. So we can change the devil's advocate after every topic, after every chapters. So they'll get the sense of sense that every whatever the policy we make, there will be a means every policy has a loser, and every decision has a cost. So they'll get the clarity for that when we use this devil's advocate protocol. The next is consequences mapping, the ripple chart we call it. After completing a topic or 15 to 20-minute activity, we can use this. For example, uh, uh, if we talk about certain topic like demonetization, partition, or green revolution, so what we can do, we can make certain concentric circles, and we can simply just ask them that what do you think, how the effect has been, that particular thing is been affecting from particular year. For example, if we talk about the partition, how the things are changing after the 5 years, after the 50 years of the partition, how the green revolution is changing after the 5 years, the 10 years, and the 50 years. The students will be just feeling that consequences of that particular event of after the 5 years and the 50 years or the 100 years. So that is the next thing. Now, the next thing is the policy brief challenge. So this we can use as a week-long project. So what we can do over here, so we can just give student group a real problem. For example, uh, it should be related to the topic only. For example, your district has 40% dropout rate for girls post grade 8. So what they need to do, they must write a 1-page policy that what was the problem, what are the evidence, how we are going to solve that issue, what estimate is needed, and the overall uh, budget estimate. So this is how we are going to give them a real life situations, real life problems, and they'll be just working that as a week-long project. The help of this, you can see they'll be just thinking on the basis of their understanding, on the basis of their research they have done. So the project here will be assessed on the basis of reasoning, not on right or wrong answers. Then the next is source forensics. So we need to give students two accounts of the same historical events from different perspective, that is Indian nationalist or British, or we can say that the simple rich farmer or poor laborers. So they will be just thinking about those particular things, which is better. So this one activity develops historical thinking better than 3 chapter of books. So you can see We are not giving time to students just to write the chapter. We are just letting them to write about different topics. So this will also develop media literacy for child. Now I need to ask one question over here. So we have discussed about 16 strategy till now. I just need to ask, so what do you think? Means which one technique was the you feel that is most doable and you can easily just incorporate into a classroom this week? So you can write your answers in the chat box. The question over here is, which one strategy do you feel from the above 16 which we have talked is the most doable? So you can answer, you can type your answers in the chat box. Local issue audit, great. I can see answers coming. Role play, great. Okay, so a lot of means we have discussed a lot of I would say 16 techniques, 16 things we have discussed. So we need to see that which things which we can implement easily. Now we'll be just moving to the last section, that is section 5. Here we'll be just talking about the techniques which are creative, but that doesn't includes any budgets. With the zero budgets we are going to incorporate that into our classroom. The first technique, that is the 17th technique, is the student made textbook chapter. So after finishing a unit or a chapter, what you can ask, you can assign a group, and the students or a group of students will be writing that particular thing, that particular context of the chapter as per their understanding. They can simply use their own language, the simplified language. They can use two examples from their own understanding, and they can also just include quizzes as well. So they will be just after completion of the chapter, they will be acting as an author, and they'll be writing that summary or the overall understanding of that chapter in their own words. So here we are just writing to teach, that is we are just helping them just to write the comprehension. So with the help of this thing, you can see, means overall whatever the things we have taught them, they'll feel the ownership for that particular thing. And whatever the will collect the overall, means whoever has completed that will collect that, and we can show, we can present the best one for the next batch as well. So herewise we'll be having a collection of best student made textbook chapter. The next is the photojournalism. So with the help of photojournalism, we will be just helping, we'll be asking our students to document the chapter. So how we are going to do that? We are going to assign group as a single concept. What they are going to do? They are going to take 5 photographs from, they are going to collect photographs from 5 real examples from their locality or from their surroundings. So we can just give them a week to do that, and after that they'll be just presenting a photo essay with caption using subject vocabulary. Means the things which they have learned, the vocabulary which they have developed in geography, for example, they have learned about the chapter on land use. So what they'll see, they'll just collect different photos related to the land use, and they'll see the purpose. They'll be just connecting the things that, yes, this is the thing the land is used for. So every chapter, every concept can be connected with these type of photojournalism. The next is the 19th technique, which is if I were a PM policy day. So here we'll be just asking our students, we'll be giving them an exposure to act like a PM. So just to draft a policy. So we'll be giving students an opportunity to draft one policy for India on any topic, whatever they have learned in their previous chapters. So they will be presenting that in 60 seconds. So after that, the class will be voting for which is feasible, is it feasible or not feasible. And this, with the help of this, you can see a peer feedback can be introduced as well. So when we introduce this, you can see they'll have a thinking, they'll believe that means they also have a voice. They can share whatever their thinking is. They'll feel acceptable in their classrooms. So this is how we can just simply use this if I were a PM policy day. The last one is the living timeline. So what we can do with the help of this, so we can use one classroom wall, and we can simply create a one wall where we are going to draw a timeline where student, after the completion of each chapter, uh, they will be just adding the events, they'll be just adding the images, and whatever the things they have learned to the previous things. So by the end of the year, they'll be able to see the overall summary or the visual web of the history of that particular topic. So every year you'll see, means whatever the things, the chapters they learn, they can simply see on their subject form. So these were the 20 techniques which we can implement into the classroom. Now, if I talk about the 90-day implementation roadmap, I think you must be feeling there are a lot of things. Means the overall 20 techniques were there. So we cannot use all these things in a single concept or a single class. We need to be calm. We need to simply introduce these things one by one, or we can say stepwise. So I'll just give you a simple 90-day implementation roadmap. So you'll get clarity that how we are going to implement these things. So if we talk about the first 30 days, we are just going to plan simple strategies which we have learned about the opening strategies. The opening strategies, that is simple, we can say the role play thing, or we can simply use this headlines things, news headlines things, these simple things which we can use. So we need to try this for a week. Then we need to just see how it's impacting, how it's affecting our classroom. Just note down the reaction of the students and document it. What was the reaction? What things worked properly and what didn't? So you'll get clarity that how the things need to be done. So after 30 days, you need to, means as per, I would suggest you can share that particular documentation, whatever you have done, whatever techniques you have implemented. On the basis of that, you can have a discussion with your colleague. After that 30 days, the next 30 days can be used to use the section 3 which activities which we have discussed, the community based strategies, or you can introduce one or two critical thinking activities as well. Here also you use simple documentation, how the students are acting, how their engagement is mis- how the overall engagement is increasing. So just collect the data, or you can ask, collect the data and show to your colleague, or for the better understanding of your implementation plan, what you can do, you can just ask one of your colleague to observe their classroom, and they can give you a feedback on the overall implementation of the strategies. The next 30 days, from the 60 to 90 days, what we can do, the last creative activities which we have discussed. So we can use that creative techniques into our classroom. So how you're going to do that? There is a lot of projects things were there. So simple, uh, facilitate a staff sharing season, show them what work means. You can call your staff or your colleagues and show them that these are the things means, in here what works out, here what works out. So you can present that things to your colleagues, to your teachers, and ask them to use that as well. So with the help of that, uh, you can just help your students just to act, just to involve in your overall learning. Over here at the end, you can see, after just implementing these creative format activities, nominate your best student projects for school recognitions. I think we have already discussed that. After this, in this strategy we have discussed in chapter policy, documenting the chapter, we have discussed that we'll be just collecting the, the chapters, and we'll be just selecting one top quality things, so that projects or certain different projects can be used as a recognition in our school as well. So this is the overall 90-day plan. So don't just try to use all those 20 techniques in a single go. Just try three, master them, and then you can add one by one or three at a go. Now, the thing is, I think all have the clarity that those are the 20 techniques which we can use. So over here, I just want to give you a clarity. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the things differently. So you'll get clarity over here. For example, uh, we need to shift from where? From familiar but limiting to brilliant and long lasting. Whatever the things we are going to teach them, that will be lasting for a longer period of time. Secondly, teaching the chapter, just completing the syllabus. No, we need to shift it. We need to use that chapter to help our students to solve the real issues, the real problem. So we need to shift from here to here. The third is teacher as narrator of the history. So do we need to act as a teacher, as a narrator of the history? No, we need to have a shift. We need to have act as a teacher, as a facilitator of inquiry. Whatever the things, the inquiry is coming from the side of the students, we need to facilitate that. The next, map, that is drawing exercise in the notebook. No, we need to shift. Map means the tools to understand my world. The next thing is, if we talk about the civics, that means memorize articles and amendments. No, we need to shift. The real shift comes when civics is understanding how to participate in the events now. That is related to civics. Then the last, assessment. If we talk about the assessment, we simply say marks in a test. No. Assessment means what can the students do what with the help of the knowledge they have gained. So that is the purpose of the assessment. So these are the real shift we need to do. Now, the last thing I just need to you to just note it down. You need to just do certain commitments over here that we have discussed about all these 20 strategy. I think you have got the clarity. So you need to just do the commitment that I'll try this strategy in the next 7 days. So just have a note into your notebook that which strategy you are going to use it, the topic and the chapter which you will use for, and the one change I'll make to my standard lesson opening. Whenever I'll open my lesson, how we are going to open the lesson. And the last, a colleague I will be shared today's learning with. So just fill this information and you will be just feel that whatever we have discussed today, that will be helping us in our classroom. So I'll give you 1 minute, just take a note. And if you want, you can just share that thing in the chat box as. Okay, I can see a lot of things coming into this chat box. Thank you so much. Now, the I think we have already discussed about the things. So thank you so much for your time. So I just need to share one important thing. So you just see this, the best social studies teachers doesn't just teach the word. Means whatever the things are there, we just don't teach that. They help students understand their place. So you have already, means whatever the things it takes, you already have it in you. So these were the tools which will be helping you, your students, that you have all those things and you need to show that to your students. So I hope whatever we have discussed, it was useful for you. Thank you.